Being your own boss is one of the best feelings in the world. You can experience the highest of highs, but it can be brutal. And I don't always agree with some YouTubers who make it look so easy, because owning your business isn't always that easy, even if you've got a passion for what you're selling. So in this video, I'll share the honest reality about what to expect as an entrepreneur, as I've been there myself with various startups along the way. Like, I went from feeling on top of the world when my company signed up clients like Amazon, Sky, Disney, BBC, and then burnt out when I was working 70 plus hours a week. Then followed by absolute elation when I sold my company last summer. And it was my fourth business that finally made it. I've got a ton of insights and experiences I want to share with anyone who's launching or growing their small business. So please hit subscribe. It'd mean a lot to me. Okay, let's dive in. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos recently on starting your own business, like the ones that make it look really easy with their shiny supercars and $1 million days. Yeah, okay. So you've got the 1% that are teaching courses on teaching courses, or drop shipping, or Amazon resellers. But what about the rest of us? Well, the truth is that for most people, being an entrepreneur can be a grind. Some weeks can be a complete roller coaster, and you feel different emotions in the space of literally one day. When I had my language tutoring company, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd scroll down on my phone and I'd see loads of Stripe payment notifications of the sales that I'd made overnight while I was sleeping, which is an epic feeling when you're making money while you're sleeping, right? And then 2 hours later at lunchtime, I'm feeling dejected because I might have had a student that unsubscribed from our monthly tuition membership. That right there is what it's like to be a business owner. 1 minute you're feeling great about sales coming through, and the next you're just doubting yourself. So here are my 3 insights into the realities of being your own boss, which will be useful for you to know if you're thinking about or have just started your own business. And if you're already on your way, this video will show you that you're not alone in your journey. Truth number 1, watch out for the shiny penny syndrome. The shiny penny syndrome is the act of being distracted by new and exciting opportunities or business ideas that aren't part of your current business plan. So, if you're having a bad month, it's really easy to doubt the path that you've chosen, whether that's your product lines, your pricing, your team, your marketing channels. This then makes you more vulnerable to exploring other ideas and wanting to add more products or services because you think what you're currently doing isn't working. Now, I've been using the phrase stay in your lane for a really long time. And what I mean by that is that it's so easy to get distracted by what other people and other companies are doing in your market. And if you're not careful, you can veer off course and end up in a different lane, which might end up taking you down a different path altogether. Let's take my industry, language tutoring. We offered lessons to children, adults, and businesses. And my company was one of thousands operating on a global scale, teaching English, Spanish, French against some of the biggest platforms in the world like Duolingo and Babbel. Now, there was no way I could compete against them as they had millions of pounds of marketing spent. Same goes for mid-sized companies that had hundreds of employees. Now, if I'd received VC funding, then yeah, I'm playing in the same arena and it's completely game on. But I wasn't, so I had to be more creative in my strategy. How could I increase sales and profit per hour without simply reducing my prices? Because A, our quality of teaching wasn't something I was prepared to sell for like a cheap price. And B, that's always a race to the bottom. So I had to innovate. I was one of the only tutoring companies to offer online parents' evenings for exam students when COVID started. We hired tutors that worked at the United Nations and Netflix. We worked on TV projects with HBO and the BBC. So all these wins meant that people didn't choose us because of price. That didn't bother them, but we had credibility, and that's why they ended up learning with us. Next time you've got the shiny penny syndrome, remember that you know your business, you know your customers, your market, your USPs. If you're watching what your competition are doing and obsessing about their products, services, pricing, you'll lose your own identity and ultimately it won't serve you. Truth number 2, you'll have to make sacrifices. Now, I'm speaking about my own experience here, and perhaps you might not go through the same thing. So as with all my videos, take what applies and resonates with you. My first side hustle that I still have as one of my main income streams is my property business. I was buying, selling, renovating, renting, pretty much everything you could do, I did it. And it was all consuming for, a long period of time. Like I put in close to 60, 70-hour weeks. I worked at this pace for 3 reasons. Number 1, the investment was hundreds of thousands of pounds as you've got a deposit, mortgage fees, renovation costs, contingencies. I worked as many hours as I could to build up what I needed to get my first property and to get on the property ladder. 2, there's a lot on the line when you're paying a mortgage, but the property is a shell and it's draining funds. And 3, the timelines involved as you're working with teams of contractors and need to be available pretty much 24/7. For the most part, I loved it because I'd be making an unloved property into a home it needed doing up. I'd be channeling my creativity into something that I could feel proud of. But there were some real tough moments as well, like when the 2008 financial crisis hit, or if I had tenants that maybe wrecked the place that I once called my home. So it didn't happen a lot, but now and again it did. But all that hard work has really paid off as I now have a healthy income stream and I'm not relying on one source of income. Again, that's just been my experience and yours could be different. So what I'm trying to say here by sharing my story is that I'm not sure if I could have achieved all of those things in that shorter time frame if I hadn't given up my evenings and weekends, working Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. It might not be for you, but as I was self-employed and the pension system here in the UK isn't that great, I needed to think of another option to fund my future retirement. Now, I'm not saying that you need to work crazy hours or not see your friends or family as you hustle hard, but I'm saying that you won't be able to do it all. So make sure you surround yourself with people that really understand where you're trying to get to. Have a good support network and outsource what you can afford. Now, I outsource loads of things in my life so that I don't need to work those hours. Instead, I choose to work those hours as I genuinely love what I do. Truth number 3, burnout. Now, I feel like this word gets thrown around a lot, and I want to make it really clear here that when I say burnout, I mean you're pretty much on your knees, and it can be a pretty dark place. It's when you're trying to juggle a business with family, paying a mortgage, paying your rent, paying employees, coping with your mental health, and you hit a point where you feel next level exhausted. And burnout is something that almost every single entrepreneur I know has suffered from. I've experienced it myself a few times, and it's really debilitating. What caused it for me was multiple things happening at the same time, such as COVID hitting my business, being understaffed, fixed costs going up, changing our tech platform, choosing the wrong developers. Now, if any of those things had happened on their own, I would have been able to cope. But with all of them happening at the same time, it had a real impact on me, and I had to take some time out to disconnect and get my energy back. Now, in hindsight, I had to go through all of that as part of my learning curve so that the next time the business had challenges, I was able to manage my expectations better and come through it all. So in business, you will face challenges every day and you'll learn how to handle them. So some will be small and some will be larger. So it's a bit like being in a boxing match and having to get up from the canvas. It's about how you face those punches head on and pick yourself up again. So having a support network can help you rise through these storms, as can practical things like contingency plans, having 6 months cash runway in the bank, or an efficient ops manager or EA who you can lean on when things are getting a little bit difficult. So I hope by sharing my experiences in this video, it can help anyone who is beginning their business journey, already going through some of these pain points, As long as you have got that support network and you're realistic about what having a business entails, then you'll be fine. Please hit subscribe if you'd like more videos on this topic, and comment below if there's anything that you would like me to cover in my next few videos.